Well, hi everybody, old Gare out here at the Fishing Shack, and welcome to this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report and Show. Boy, I tell you what, guys, Super Bowl weekend, go Chiefs, go get 'em, Pat. Boy, very exciting. Well, we're out to Fishing Shack. This is on a Thursday. We always tape our show on Thursday right ahead of the release date on Friday morning. And a little nippy out here, but boy, it sounds like we're going to have a great weekend. Mid-50s, around 50, mid-50s in the Ozarks on Saturday. Sunday, maybe 60, 65. Monday, it's going to be great. So we have a few good days coming up this weekend. You know, last weekend was good weather-wise as well, and we have a lot of photos sent in this week. So don't forget, at the end of the program, don't forget our fishing roll, our photo roll. I know you're really going to enjoy it this week. All right, boy, another thing. Golly, you guys are awesome out there. On Facebook, we had over 17,000 views this past week. And God bless you all. Keep the ball rolling. Keep sharing. We're having so much fun here on Fishing Chums, and we're going to have a lot more as this weather warms up. The fishing's going to go crazy right here through our Ozark region. And what else? We have some good report. The walleye are moving a little bit. You know, they're not on their spawn yet, but they're cruising. We've had good reports down below the dam at Beaver, walleye being caught this week, and also in the Kings River on Table Rock. We'll be talking about this, and some fair crappie fishing as well. So I tell you, I'm excited. Let's go fishing. Well, you know, at the end of the program, stick around because I've got about 30 or 40 people have sent emails in recently, and I've got them all wrote down, and I'm just going to pick one or two or three depending on the time, and we'll answer some of your questions right here on Fishing Chums. That should be fun. Another thing, take care of a little business. God bless Forrest Wood. He was a great friend, and he was my boat sponsor for many years. And out of Flippin, Arkansas, the godfather, the father of the bass boat, and he cashed them in, went to the big lake in the sky. I tell you what, he'll be missed, and what a good guy. What a great fisherman too. Good guy, Forrest Wood. Okay, let's go out to Beaver Lake. That water temperature was 45 to 46 degrees. It kind of varies in different areas of the lake. And this past weekend, I know there's some nice crappie caught out at Beaver. Look at C.A. Douglas. Yes, he was out again. He always catches them, and boy, he catches the big crappie, doesn't he? And this was out of Beaver. And also, there's been some stripers caught out there. They've been picking up some fish on those long gravel points, looking at your graphs and electronics, using live bait. And they've had some pretty good bass fishing. I've heard of a little jerkbait fishing out there at Beaver. Down below Beaver, boy, this last few days, I've had good reports of trout being caught. They're catching trout, quite a few limits out there, on a variety of baits. Some people are using little Cleo spoons. Some people are just slow rolling jigs. Other people are using little spinners. And of course, your Berkeley trout eggs are working good as well. So kind of mix all that up. And there's been some nice walleye caught up in that region as well. Walleye are moving on that White River, coming up around that below the dam at Beaver. So Beaver looks good for the upcoming weekend. Okay, let's go out to Table Rock. Ron Freeman was out the other day, I think last weekend, taking advantage of this beautiful weather. Look, this nice bass that he caught. And the bass fishing's been fair. The last few days been a little tough, not a lot of people out. But I tell you, they're catching them on a variety of bait. We've been visiting about it here on the program the last 3 weeks. The jerkbait fishing just coming on a little stronger all the time off those steep banks. So you might try some jerkbait fishing. You still might be able to pick up some fish if we have a little bit of wind on some of the windy points on your crankbaits, wiggle warts and so forth. and you want to get out with your electronics on some of your deep runs and look, find some schools of shad. You might get out there with a drop shot, and about halfway back into the creek arms, don't overlook, there's still some shad. Some of the shad have been moving out of the creek arms, I understand. But if you could find some shad, same old story, get out there with your electronics, find some streaks in those shad, get down there with a ice jig. You might be able to pick them up on a grub, spoons. That might be good as well. Jigs have been good, casting jigs in the brush, and also dragging jigs. So Table Rock looks pretty good for the weekend, maybe for bass. And we've had some pretty fair crappie fishing. You know, not a lot of people crappie fishing at Table Rock, but the few old boys, the tough old boys that's been going out have definitely been catching some nice crappie when they do get in them. And I've heard some crappie being caught around some of the docks now, especially with brush, and of course around some of the timber, and finding shad. That's another good thing. I've had fair reports at Cape Fair, but back in the creek arms, just keep looking, and especially you dock fishermen. I think you can catch some crappie out at Table Rock this weekend. Let's go out to Taneycomo. The trout fishing's been good. Last weekend they had a big tournament, quite a few trout caught. And I know the folks out around Trout Hollow Lodge, they caught a lot of fish over the weekend, and they're catching them on a variety of bait. Drifting, there's a pretty good drift. Drifting, power eggs have been fairly good. They've been using when the water's quiet, and that hasn't been much quiet water, but jigs has been fair, and they've been picking up some fish on live night crawlers or live minnows as well. So check out Taneycomo for the upcoming weekend. Out of Bull Shoals, boy, they've been having some fair bass fishing for the few people that's been going out. By the way, I kind of got to back up a little bit. The water temperature at Table Rock was around 45 to 47 this morning, and out at Taneycomo it was around 45, I understand. Out at Bull Shoals, the water temperature is a little higher, around 48 degrees, and the bass fishing's been fair, kind of like Table Rock. They're getting off those long runs, those big old gravel points, and looking at their electronics, using a little drop shot. Lots of birds out there. There's been loons and seagulls diving. Some of the shad are moving out into the main lake again, or the mouth of the lake, the creek areas, and you can get out there and maybe find some with your electronics. Use your grubs and your ice jigs and your spoons, and they've been picking up some fish on jerkbaits out there as well. Some nice crappie are caught out at Bull Shoals this week. It's kind of increased. They've been a little bit deeper. They've been anywhere from 30, 35 to even 40 feet of water over the brush piles. Jig and minnows have been working. When they do get into them at Bull Shoals, they're really nice fish. Okay, let's go out to Stockton. Kurt Suber was out the other day. Look at this nice bass that Kurt got into. Man, he got in some nice, there's been some nice bass caught out at Stockton, that's for sure. And crappie, you bet they're catching some crappie. My buddy here at Fishing Chums, Todd Lanning, was out again the other day, and they picked up a couple of limits of crappie. Look at this. Boy, nice fish, good going, Tom. And some of these fish are crappie a little bit deeper than what they have been as well. Jigs, it seems like an ice blue or also a chartreuse, pink with a chartreuse body. Some people are tipping them with minnows. They've been picking up an occasional walleye, but this is the time of the year. Boy, the points, secondary points in the dam, you might get out there with a jerkbait and pick yourself up a nice walleye this upcoming weekend. And boy, the bass fishing has been really good out there. Okay, J.T. Harding also was out. I want to show you this bass. Yeah, just the other day at Stockton as well. Real nice fish, guys. Good going. Keep her going out at Stockton. All right, let's go out to Pomme de Terre. It's been a little slower due to the weather this week. A few people have been going out and still catching fish. Crappie a little bit deeper than what they were, but they are picking up some crappie out there. But it has slowed, mainly due to the fact of the weather. I think not many people out. All right, let's go out at Truman. Same thing. They're catching some crappie. And the lake's high, a little dingy, of course, and that water temperature out there was 39 degrees this morning. By the way, at Pommy was 40 degrees, and Stockton was 39 degrees, so forgot that. And at Truman, they have been picking up some fair cats, blue cats. It slowed a little bit because of just not much pressure, people going out. Cut shad is still the best bait out there, and on some of the flats and mouth of the creeks. And we've had reports of fair crappie fishing. We've kind of find that off-colored water in about 10 to 15 feet of water, a little shallower. You can get down there with a jigging minnow and pick up some crappie out at Truman. And let's see, Lake of the Ozarks. Oh boy, look at Jack and his son. He was out the other day over the past weekend. And Jack, boy, and his son really caught some nice crappie at Lake of the Ozarks. This just shows you that you can catch them. You know, it might be spotty. You might have to look for them. But boy, when you get into them at Lake of the Ozarks, you can really catch some nice fish. And I've been picking these fish up on jigs, anywhere from 15 to 20 feet of water. I understand some people are still shooting docks with 32nd ounce jigs. And the bass fishing's fair for the few people that's been fishing out there, mainly jerk baits out at Lake of the Ozarks. Out at Norfolk, if you want a chance to pick up a striper over the weekend, it's been fair. They've been going in that Twin Bridges area, and also they've been going back on some of the flats and looking in deep, deep water, but the fish may be suspended down around 40 or 50 feet of water. Spoons is the best bet there. They're still catching some crappie out there, and about halfway back into the creek areas. Experiment on that. But boy, when they do get into some crappie at North Fork, they're really nice size. Jigs, jigging minnows, of course. And that's out at Lake Norfolk. Might be some good fishing. Okay, want to thank you very much for joining us. We're going to draw out. Let's do that right now. We're going to draw up, but we got time for a couple, I think. Mix these up. Okay, this question comes from Jim out of the Kansas City area. I've known of you for quite some time, and I know that you used to fish with Harold Emsley. I've seen you on his show. Always enjoyed your shows back in the Midwest, and always enjoyed Harold Emsley. Well, Harold Emsley, yes, he was a great friend. You remember Harold Emsley, the sportsman's friend. Boy, he had such a good show. He is one of the pioneers in television fishing. And boy, he loved to fish. He was a great fisherman, and I've spent a lot of time in the boat with Harold. In fact, here's a photo, goes back several years, but look at Harold and I with this stringer of fish. I think we had an 8-pound walleye. I think we had probably a limit of walleye, crappie, some white bass, but boy, that was much fun. And we'll be talking more about Harold. You know, he's passed away, but I have some great stories when we have time to talk a little bit about that. But you bet, Harold Emsley was a great friend. Let's have one more. Okay, Mark from the St. Louis area. I hear you talk about walleye a lot. I would like to go walleye fishing this spring. Where would you recommend? What's one of your favorite walleye lakes in the Ozarks? Well, I tell you, that's a tough one because there's several good walleye lakes. Stockton, you know, it produces consistently, and in the starting this time of the year up through the spring. I tell you, a lake that I like, when the water level's right, if it's not flooded, that's Bull Shoals. I've had some tremendous fishing at the upper end of Bull Shoals in the K-Dock area, all the way to the Power Site Dam. There's some good areas there, and that's going to be starting. In fact, they're already starting to pick up a few. But as that water, after they spawn and that water temperature starts to climb, they'll start gradually moving down the White River on Bull Shoals. And Bull Shoals is a great lake for walleye fishing. Another good lake would be, a sleeper would be Table Rock. I tell you what, there's some really good populations of walleye in Table Rock, but not many people fish for them. And the ones who do are really cashing in on some good fishing. And so any of those lakes, Truman has a darn good walleye population. Even Palmy's a sleeper, Pomme de Terre. Okay, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. It's going to be a nice weekend. Get out bit and go get bit and go cheese. And be sure to like and share. And by the way, for our folks, all the thousands of people watching on Facebook, be sure to check out our group, our Fishing Chums group, and join us because we have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot more fun coming up on it, that's for sure. And like I said, like and share. Be sure to subscribe for you folks over on YouTube. There you go, Kathy. Put that up. Subscribe. Thank you very much. And so many people that used to watch us on YouTube have gone over to Facebook. But that's okay. That's okay. We still love our YouTube group as well. And if you have any photos you'd like to send us or ask any questions, we'll put them in the bucket and draw it out. be sure to go to our email. Email us at fishingchums@gmail.com. Well, that's it for the day. Roll those pictures, Kathy. God bless you. Get out and get bit this beautiful upcoming weekend.